If science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion, otherwise you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, an illusion?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck off and die.
It's funny because I did this last when I watched Furiosa when it came out like 8 months ago or whatever. It came out in like March or something. I don't remember, but in the spring I think. And I last year downloaded the Mad Max video game after watching it because I'm like, hell yeah, that game was good. And I downloaded it and played it, and then literally last night I watched it again and I was like, hell yeah, I should finish that game. So I downloaded it, so now I'm playing Mad Max again.
Nice.
It's good.
It's all full circle, man. It's all full circle. You're reading a Mad Max book, too. That's usually that's the kicker.
Yeah.
But in the video game, apparently, this movie has overlapping lore. Like, they brought a character in, like Chum Bucket. Is that?
Yeah.
I was just reading about that. Like,
yeah,
I don't quite. There's so many characters
that.
in his, so I don't know.
I'd heard it was like kind of a little homage because it's like they don't call him Chum Bucket in the movie, but the guy who gives her a car is supposed to be Chum Bucket.
He's
and,
okay. It
makes sense.
That is him.
Because I don't like. That's the thing about we're gonna get into it a little bit, but like the one thing that about this fucking series that is like I kind of like, but is also kind of annoying is like there's like a lot of contradictions to the timeline and like things that kind of like like some things are canon, some things aren't, but it also doesn't matter because it's like George Miller's like whatever, it's all myth and legend, and so who cares if it fits? But which is cool, but at the same time it's frustrating when you're trying to like figure out the lore of a world. So.
Well, and I'm always like, yeah, where? Because so then technically. Because there's one shot in this movie. Are we going? I assume we're going. This is.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, this is the coldest cinema knowledge. I didn't say the thing. This is the coldest cinema knowledge podcast. That's fucking. You got to get a cool Mad Max. We got to get cool Mad Max names because
dude. I would love.
Scrotus is the first thing I think for you, but I guess it's already taken.
Oh, Scrotus, rude, dude. I don't want to be. Even though Scrotus is hilarious, but Scrotus, like he's an angry man in this movie.
Well, Scrotus is in the video game too. So.
Oh, that's
like another connection.
Yeah, which is funny because like, does he die in between this and Fury Road?
I haven't beat it, the video game, but I think he's like one of the last bosses, and you kill him in the video game because he's not in Fury Road.
Right, he's not in Fury Road 100%, but he's the brother, so I'm like, oh, he dies.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's what's
that's why I'm like the video game must take place in between because I kind of was trying to figure out because while watching this, I'm sorry, we'll do a synopsis in a minute, but while watching this, I was like. Oh man, the one part that kind of bums me out is they just like, and then there was the epic 40-day war, and it's like 20 seconds, and then they're like, and then it was over. And I was like, oh, okay, I wonder if the video game kind of takes place during that, because that would make sense, I think. In my personal headcanon, I do whatever I want, and the video game takes place during that time, because it tracks.
Well, that's legit. I mean, that's what these movies are. They're like, the little tiny shots, the background really kind of builds the canon together. Like, who knows? George Miller probably doesn't know half the shit he's done on these movies.
No.
He's like 85 years old, and he's been making these movies since like the 78.
He's like, just weld those two cars together. Hell yeah.
yeah, really though. Yeah,
I'm gonna name him the fucking Dementus because he's so demented.
I know exactly. The dude barely writes anything. He just storyboards and talks about the sequences. So which
which is. We'll get into it a bit more, which is pretty impressive because it's like that shows so much in Fury Road, but in this, it's like there's like a lot of writing, surprisingly.
Right. Definitely a lot more. I don't know.
I mean, like dialogue and story, and character.
Yeah, but it's still all I remember is like what the visions. I don't know the action sequences. All right,
I'm gonna do a very quick for the moms. I'm gonna do a very quick synopsis for the
and welcome,
moms.
Dude. 2025.
Oh yeah, it's technically New Year's Day. It's
literally the first day of 2025.
It is. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be things.
I know. Yeah, let's get ready. Let's see what movies. 2024 was kind of a.
It was a good year for horror.
A very limited year. I feel like there was like 2 or 3 movies that were like amazing.
We got to talk about it after the pod, but I totally watched Nosferatu too. So.
Oh yes, we have to talk about. Oh my God, Nosferatu's so good. Can we just talk about Nosferatu right now, dude?
I know, maybe,
Oh,
but
dude,
I mean, I'll put it on one of the polls, so maybe we will be talking about
baby,
it.
I got that. I got the Orlok,
definitely-
dude, the Orlok mustache. Oh,
God, so good.
don't even get
Anyway,
me started.
all right,
It's so good.
We're not talking about that though. We're talking about Furiosa.
We're talking about
so
Anya Taylor-Joy's
for
mustache.
the mom, because my mom doesn't listen to this anymore, obviously.
Mom.
So it's a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. Follows Furiosa. She starts as a little kid in the green place. She immediately gets fucking captured by some raiders that end up there. Her mom chases her down through the desert to try and kill these guys so that they can't lead them scavengers back to the green place. They got to stay hidden, and obviously to try and save Furiosa. But she kills some of them, but she gets taken in by this dude Dementis, played by Chris Hemsworth, who's like this raider leader guy, and he's like got a sweet nose and charisma, and but he brutally kills her mom, and kind of takes her and makes her like little D, he calls her, the little mini Dementis, and like kind of basically she's an accessory. She stays with him for quite some time, and then Dementis tries to go to the Citadel, which he finds out about, and they're like, oh, that must be the good place she's talking about, because they have water and plants and stuff because of the water and so forth. So they go to the Citadel, and all our fun characters are there, like Immortan Joe and all that.
Familiar characters.
Yeah, familiar characters.
And they look a little less.
Yeah, it's 20 years sooner. He's a little healthier. But he's like, come throw down your leaders and let's go. And then Morton Joe's like, nah, these guys will die for me. So they basically walk back on that plan real quick, piece the fuck out, and then but eventually Dementis does a ruse and tries to take over. He takes over Gastown, and then he kind of like leverages it as hostage for like getting deals and stuff. And it's like he's the leader of Gastown now. And
Right.
But like during a deal, like fucking Furiosa like reveals that she's not his daughter, and then so she goes with Immortan Joe, and so she ends up at the Citadel, where she like grows older, and then it's on Taylor-Joy, and she's like a mechanic and all that shit, and she becomes like rises through the ranks to become like the fucking Chief Keef. She meets a badass dude who's like the main captain of the ship, the land ships, if you will, whatever they're called, the fucking war. What do they call
War
it?
rig, yeah.
War rig, yeah. The guy that drives it.
What?
She kind of ends up becoming his second command by accident, but like falls into it. But then they have like a little
through a test of her own, like her own grit.
Yeah, she's
because
trying to.
She's going to flee.
I
She
know.
was trying to flee.
I'm
right.
skimming, bro. I'm skimming.
Oh, I know,
I'm not trying
I
to
know.
get
That's
into the details.
But that's one of the most important parts of the whole movie.
She's trying to
but,
get
yeah.
out, but she ends up having to help out the situation, and kind of like this guy ends up, they end up trusting each other, and he's not like a rat, you know what I mean? And then he's like, stick with me, and I'll teach you everything you need to know, and then we'll get out of here, And so he becomes like a mentor and lovers, sort of, in the Mad Max way. But then eventually, so they do plan to escape on their own, and while they're planning this thing, they go to the bullet farm, and then, it's a trap, and Dementis is there, and there's a fucking huge shootout, and a bunch of people die, but they get their car, and with their motorcycles on the back, and they cheese it out into the desert, but Dementis' crew catches up with them eventually, and Dementis is like, oh, you fucks, and basically kills her boyfriend, and dangles her by her arm, but she cuts it, she like rips it off somehow and escapes, and that's how she loses her arm. And she makes it back. Well, there's a cute little you see Mad Max for like a sec, and he like takes her
Yes,
into
I
the-
love that.
Yeah.
Because she's like stumbling back towards the Citadel.
Yeah, she's close
and,
enough. He like
yeah,
drops her off. But she ends up
Yeah.
with the maggot farmers and all that. But she makes it
Yeah.
there. She gets it. She recovers her health. There's like a huge war because Dementis is like trying to like take over everything, and now he has control of both the bullet farm and the oil fucking gas town. But he's like a terrible leader and has no structure. So it's like all falling apart. And yeah, eventually she catches up with him, and like as part of the war team, and like they split up and they get Dementis. She gets him, after going on like a little bit of a goose chase, following his like captains, his second in command guys, to try and throw him off the set, and she basically draws out his death and like taunts him, and he does like an epic speech, and he's like, "Could you make it epic?" or whatever. And then she puts her peach pit that she's been carrying for all these years in his crotch or something, and grows a tree out of him. Is the supposed legend of his torture and death. And then she's at the Citadel, and she's and then it picks up where Fury Road began, where she like breaks out all the mothers, and that's how it ends.
Yeah.
It's so
does
brutal
kind of this
to like know,
dude.
Fury Road, like the green place, is just like a swamp now. And it's like, goddamn, in 20 years, like that place got wrecked, man.
Got wrecked, and it's weird. I'm kind of curious because like I don't remember getting there. Maybe there's a bit of information in there that I missed, but like, how did it happen? Is it just like just a water land and then a marshland or whatever? Like the water rised, and
I read something about it was like just the dust storms or something.
Yeah,
like ruined it. Okay, I don't know for sure. Because I think it might be addressed because there's comics. There's a Mad Max comic series and stuff. So
yeah, I mean he's got a lot of lore like that he writes and stuff that isn't in his
and it's
movies,
disjointed, as we said earlier. It's all pretty disjointed,
and that's
but it makes it kind of
fun.
It makes it fun
about it. Yeah, is because you can kind of just do this where it's like Fury Road and Furiosa. They're just like, I mean, this is like a Mad Max saga too, so it's kind of just part of the whole story. So it's not really like, this takes place during Max doing something wild. Like if like you wanted one character to hinge on, and it's Max, because that's kind of that's what Fury Road does. Is it brings all of the old, like the other three movies together, and like. And it shows you what he's doing, but it's so far removed that he's just mythos now. You don't even know he's not really Max. He's
because in my mind, timeline wise, because I haven't seen all the original ones. I mean, I've seen a good chunk of Road Warrior, and that's it. But I know
I've seen Thunderdome a couple times, but
I've seen a part of Thunderdome as a kid, but I don't really remember. I just remember the vibe and Mel Gibson. But
right.
It's the thing that's always throws me off, because it's like Fury Road is obviously like generations, if not hundreds of years after like the collapse of society. It's like so far gone that it's like this is the new society, but then it's like Max was like alive before the apocalypse. Like it just doesn't make any sense, but it's fine. It's fine because it's like it's funnier to be like it's only been 30 years since the fall of society, and it's like, we're a Joe and we're like eating maggot farms. It's like, no way, dude. There's no way.
Well, no. But I think it is, because this is what Frank Miller has said before, is that it's like once the resource wars happen, which he totally George, not Frank. I always do that every time.
No, I get
it. But what he was talking about is like this is all it would take is a couple of decades for the like sandstorms and for like the climate to kind of like ravage what mankind is like made and what we've done to ourselves. Like we have taken the resources from the land, and now it's just like a desert wasteland.
I don't know, like maybe because that's the thing, because the thing is like in the originals or whatever, it's like they go into the outback, and so it's like the outback, it's not like society, but like sometimes they're like it's the seabed, you know what I mean, it's like dried up, like that's why I'm like the time, I think, because it's like I don't think anyone alive in Fury Road or Furiosa can possibly remember a world before this. And so in my mind, I'm like, it has to have been hundreds of years. Because there's no fucking way. They're like, that's all they know. And they're never like, man, I remember back when we had showers. It's just like, the maggot farmer. Like,
I get it. Yeah, I know. It's definitely like it's style over like continuity.
That's the thing.
For sure.
Let's bring it back a bit. So this is your first time watching it. This is my second time. What were your expectations going in and like coming off of like Fury Road and like coming into this prequel and everything? Like, I know neither of us are huge fans of prequels, generally speaking, but
right. But it's kind of,
works,
kind of weird,
I think, for sure. But
yeah, I mean, Mad Max, like you said, disjointed. This is a prequel, but it kind of like
universe.
It literally is a standalone film, though. That's how all of his. 100%. That's kind of how all his movies are. Like they're pretty standalone, even the originals. And so it's like, you just I'm here for the interesting characters, and I didn't realize that Chris Hemsworth was gonna like rock my socks.
Dude, Chris Hemsworth
I had no
was such
idea.
I remember when this was announced, I'm like, oh, Chris Hemsworth, whatever. Thor, who gives a shit? And then I saw it, and I'm like, dude, this is like, I hope he gets like a Best Supporting Oscar nomination or something, because he's so good.
Yeah.
And he's amazing.
He's amazing. His voice consistency is so good, and like his voice choice was amazing. Well, I was so surprised.
Dementis is such a good villain, dude. Like,
he's such a good villain. Because he's so likable, but he's such a fucking like, he's so scuggy. And then at the end, though, I do love how he's just like, he got his villain monologue, and it was great.
It's great.
He's just talking about how he's like
we're already dead.
You can't break me. Yeah, he's like, you can't break me. I'm already broken. Like, it's like
he has a dangerously high pain threshold. He says.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. It's like, and it's just his I don't know, his relationship with little D is like kind of, it's like almost touching, but like, yeah, he's obviously the villain, so he's just like a scumbag.
But like, he's like this charismatic leader, but he's literally chaotic evil persona. Like, he's just so chaotic that that's why he takes over these places, because of ambition, but he can't hold on to him. And he's like because he has no idea. There's no structure to his system. It's just pure chaos.
Right. Yes, it's no structure. Where it's like, that's actually something I liked. This flushed out the lore of Fury Road a little bit more, where it's like, you have gas, bullets, and then food, like the actual things you need to survive,
sustenance.
And I love how like those three things are like, this is the society. Just these three. This is society, and that's like George Miller's like idea of like, this is what society is boiled down, and he's not wrong. Like, that's what's so great.
But it's so good. It's just bullets and gas, like
bullets, gas,
metal, dude.
Which is his like. I mean, that's totally his metaphor for like war, resources, and then you have to have food to survive, and mother's milk. So it's like that. It's just so funny that I don't know. It's so simple and basic, but like,
I love it.
I just love it. I that's what he does though. He's stripped down, and then he has great like style, and he has just, his characters are like hilarious. And this actually had a lot. Like, I feel like this movie was written a little bit better than Fury Road. I mean, in Fury Road,
100%.
Your main character was mute, so it's like kind of just
Fury
like,
Road.
Whatever.
Furiosa was the main character of Fury Road, and it was still very, very light on everything, because it's like, it's like, that's the thing. Going into this movie, I liked Fury Road, but I didn't like it as much as everyone else. I thought it was like really good action movie, and it does what it does extremely well, and it's fucking cool, and it's a vibe, and I love post-apocalypse and like cool cars and all that shit. But I was like, oh, okay, a prequel, sure, because Furiosa is a cool character in Fury Road, and there's not that much meat on the bones of, like, because for Fury Road the style is the substance, where in this it's like they went completely the opposite direction, where it's like they do have a lot of action, but it's just like, it's everything, which I, as like more of a writer and someone who like more appreciates like story and character and stuff like that, it's like I really jived with that, but I wasn't expecting to. I was expecting not to like this movie that much, but I went and saw it in theaters and I really liked it. And then watching it again, it still held up. Like, it's still that's really enjoyable.
That's good to know.
On a second rewatch.
It's not one, like, I was jonesing to watch Fury Road again when we did it for the pod.
Yeah,
I like was really excited, and I don't know, this one, it's like I don't know what it was. Fury Road, like, I think it hit. It just like, Mad Max. Even though I'm not well versed in it necessarily, I'm not reading the comics.
You're not a Mad Max historian, what?
But right. But it's like the concept of Mad Max I know heavily, and it's in society. It's in pop culture, and so I was like super excited to see Fury Road, and what it did so much better than this visually, in my opinion. I think that this looked really awkward with all of the CG. Not to take away from the style, and like when this is like hitting right, and when it's just like, it's just them in the cars and the cars are doing their thing, I loved it, and I loved this one because there's so many motorcycles too. Yeah. That was sick. I just loved how they were like the nomadic like motorcycle gang that was going through, and it's cool that the mythos of like the motorcycle gang that like separated and now they live in the mountains and they're still there in Fury Road. That's really cool. Yeah, that they're still just like the scavengers and stuff. But I know it's like, it's not even, it's so funny to like gripe about this film had more CG than Fury Road, but only in like that this one created more actual world with CG, wherein because that was like the little research I did. I wanted to go into it more, but the little research I did is in Fury Road. Pretty much everything was shot practical and then like zhuzhed up. And then everything was like every single shot. There were 2,400 shots in Fury Road, and like 200 or 2,200 of those shots had heavy CG done to them.
Well,
like it was and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Even with this movie.
Yeah,
but
totally.
this movie was like they actually did heavy green screen work in this film.
Yeah.
That was like the big difference. Where in Fury Road, it was like they shot all practical and then built around that.
Yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
all
And
shot
it
outside. Where this
shows.
was shot all in studio.
Yeah.
For some, that one, but not even, but barely a difference. But just enough to be like, I noticed it, and it kind of bummed me out. But it still looks beautiful when they're out. All the big set pieces and all the big not set pieces, but the big action sequences with the cars, when they're driving their warrior rigs, when they're attacking, that's still all done practical.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
And
it's beautiful.
It's all the car stuff. It's like there's all the main thing is like all the human stunts. Like a lot of those were CG, like dudes like falling off of an 80-mile-an-hour thing. Like that was mostly CG.
That was all CG. And
but
it,
the car
showed.
stuff was. But here's the thing. It's like elephant in the room. I feel like everyone hangs on that one aspect. And I get it kind of because it's like Fury Road is sort of known for like, look how all the stunt work, right? And it's like that's much more what it is. But it's just like, and I don't know for sure. Maybe you could tell me. But I'm pretty sure this one had a less of a budget. Pretty sure.
Oh,
it shows.
Actually, I didn't look.
I still think it's obviously
remember.
it's tens of millions, obviously, but
Of course. Oh my God, no! It's so much more.
Is it than Fury Road?
Let me look. Actually, I'll cross reference
all
it.
right, check
and
it.
I'll tell
Well, while I rant some more, so it's like
yeah,
fucking everyone kind of gripes on that, but it's like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because yes, Fury Road, if we're comparing them, it's like it's not as noticeable, but that movie was so digitized also by style. Like there's like the digital whips and the fucking like zoom ins and like the color grade. And so already this, like, I feel like they like took the restrictions that they had and the limitations by this being like a bigger thing and not being able to like, don't build real sets and all this and like leaned into it. So it's like, it kind of adopted that style a little bit more. They're like the zooms and the crazy shit. And I think it works. Like it's a little bit of a different vibe, and at first it's kind of jarring. Like when they're in that first motorcycle scene, it's a little jarring. But when the action sequences are cut up, and I'm like, I would rather. It's like, do I wish every effect was practical? Yes, in every movie, practically. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's the whole thing.
But if it's
that's
between
I can't complain.
This
It's
existing and this not existing with CG, I'm like, this is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's slightly worse than like a Marvel movie CG, but at least this has they built the trucks and shit. At least, you know what I mean?
And that's the part that I enjoy is that like seeing
It
George
makes up
Miller's,
for it
like,
and everything else.
His
and like the
his
story
brain
and the
come to
lore
life.
and,
Yeah.
But like the set design and everything that goes into this movie is like ramped up to 10 and does way better than, I mean, Fury Road laid the groundwork, but it's like they're on the road most of the time, out in the desert. But this movie, it's like you get a lot more of Gas Town, you get all these places and stuff, and I think it makes up for it, kind of, you know. And I don't mind. I get the gripe, but it's like, I think people who are like shit on this movie because of it are buttholes about it. I'm like, come on, there's so much more good than bad. But that's the elephant in the room. That's the stink where it's just like, we all wish it would have not been CG, and it's a little distracting sometimes. But it's just so fun anyway. I don't know. It worked, and they leaned into it in a way that like adopted the CG, is what I'm saying, into the style. You know,
Sure,
the biggest thing that honestly,
they're smart about how they used it for sure.
That's not even my biggest complaint though. You know what my biggest complaint is about this fucking movie? And I noticed it way more the second time around though. My biggest complaint by a mile, not CG at all, I can get over that, is the score. There's barely any score in this, and the score.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's
not
what I
that
noticed.
Much. It's there,
and it felt like I heard I swear to God, I heard like there was like one epic piece, and that was it. And then the rest was like kind of used again. I felt like they made one song, and then they just used different parts of the one song. Like it was weird.
So I was watching, and like during the whole the bullet farm near the end, like the chase scene and the tower gets knocked down and everything, it's like there was no music at all during that entire sequence. And I'm like, having that score, that big orchestral score from the first, like just reuse it even from the first movie is so good because that's what adds to the vibe so much. Because like one of the best parts of the first movie is when they first go into the storm and he's like, "What a lovely day," you know, and they're all going into the storm, and the music is just like so epic, and the people get sucked up in the wind and explode. And it's like it's so cinematic, but it's like that was the thing this movie was missing for me. It's just like a really over the top score.
Well, don't worry. This movie had that really weird like foghorn kind of thing that gets used where it's like
the Inception bomb.
Yeah, really though. Yeah, right. And like that kind of outdated. Like I feel like that's like George Miller. Like I don't know. That's like one part where I'm like, I feel like the music he doesn't, he's not heavily involved in. He probably steps back and he's like edits the sequence together. And then he's just kind of like, all right, whatever music you guys want to put it. I don't know. That's just what it feels like. Cause it does feel kind of, like where everything else is so handcrafted that like that aspect of it, I'm kind of just like, it does falter. And I totally noticed it in this movie also. And I was kind of like, a little confused because so the fact that there was no music there though kind of like is interesting because I don't remember there not being music. So it probably, it worked on its own.
It wasn't like, the first time I watched it, I didn't notice that much until afterwards. I was like, that didn't really
the music for sure is not as good in this. It's funny though. This movie did something. So I don't know, kind of jumped the gun a little bit. But
sure.
This movie did something that was kind of almost detrimental to itself. Where like my first impression of this movie was colored heavily by the end credits when they basically show the whole like the some important sequences and like basically the whole movie of Fury Road is in the credits. Yeah. And I'm like, Fury Road looks so much better than this movie, in my opinion. I mean,
it does. It definitely
it just
does
looks
a
the
bit.
color like the
on
color
its
grading
own,
just looks
stands,
nicer.
But when you compare them next to each other, it does.
Right. Of course. No, I liked this film a lot.
No,
I liked how this film looked.
I agree. But when you compare them
when they were cutting
in the same movie, dude.
in the same movie when it was like cutting back and forth, and I'm watching like Fury Road scenes, and I'm like, God, that looks so good. I was like, why would they do this? That was such a weird concept to me.
The ending of this movie, it does feel like being a prequel, they didn't know how to end it either, and so they're just like,
which sucks. No, but it sucks because that was such a sick. I didn't want her like when it was showing her take the girls away and shit. That was really dumb to me. I don't know. I really got bummed by that. I loved just the fucking peach. The peach growing out of his dick. Dude, is hilarious.
Because that's all you need to know.
That's such a good ending.
That's all you needed.
Yeah, that's it. And I love and even leading up just to the bit of like having the peach grow out of him. It's like when it's like, oh, people think that she killed him this way or this way. Mm-hmm. This is the mythos that happened. Like this is how it spreads. And then even the peach pit isn't even. Like, we're not even sure if that's real. Yeah. Like, until they kind of build it where she does take the peach to the girls. So it's kind of like, oh, that is technically the real thing. But it's like, I would have loved it to have been ambiguous, where it's just kind of like, did she actually grow a peach out of this dude? And that's just how it ends. Because it's like, we already know the story from when she picks up the girls.
I mean, honestly, you could have ended with them giving the peaches. You know what I mean? It's like, that's fine. Like, okay, they take somebody to the peach, cut to black. No Fury Road, cut in the credits.
I know. That was such an awkward.
They used footage because it's like at the end I'm like, oh, that's Charlize Theron. That's not her. Like for like the last shot where they're like getting to the truck.
I know it would have been better if
like,
they had
that's neat.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, I'm like that's neat and all, but it's like you're just kind of like, and then it just kind of peters out into the next movie, and I'm like, I don't know. It's because it's like this movie spends so much time being its own thing. And then it feels like, well, okay, this is a prequel, so we have to kind of like glue it to the other part. Like it makes sense. Everything makes sense, but like flow-wise, because they both have such different paces, that it's just like, they just like stuck them together at the end. They're like, yeah, remember? And then this other stuff happens. And then, But if that stuff was in this movie, it would be, a 20-minute sequence and that's it. But like, yeah, man, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because that's the thing.
But I do love the shot of Max when he's watching her. That's cool.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, that was a great little throwback. It's like how the other one.
And then it's cool. Yeah, exactly. And then it's cool how I liked the whatever Jack. What is it, Infirmer Jack or whatever the dude who her love interest.
Oh yeah, he was cool
because
he definitely had like the Road Warrior
he's the
vibes
Max.
too.
He's the Max stand-in. Yeah, exactly.
And he's fucking dope. And their relationship, it's like it's simple. Like because that's the thing. This movie is like. It's very
know. That's what
straightforward,
dude,
but it
George
does
Miller
it,
does that so well.
It does it really good, man. And like the thing I like about this movie, and I'm kind of conflicted because just the two of them obviously being like the newer ones that are like obviously the most
right.
And the thing, it's like they are both a different side of the same coin, because it's like everything I didn't like about Fury Road, where I'm like, it's basically a drawn out montage. It's just like nothing happens. And then this one, it's like the exact opposite. Like there's a ton of lore, a ton of plot. It's literally
and
Fury
enough.
Road is
Dude,
like
this
a
movie,
day, and
I
this
can't-
is like this, and this
Yes.
one's like 30 years.
This is 30 years.
You know?
No, I can't stress enough that like I loved the story of this movie.
Yeah.
Like I did. It's like it's funny. I didn't
but everything
expect to
this
care.
movie's lacking,
And
Fury Road
right.
has, and then everything Fury Road's lacking, this movie has. So it's kind of like,
Right.
what would it be like if somehow mashed the two into the perfect Mad Max movie? I don't know.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, someone should like strip them down because they're all shot like they're all, they're shot on Alexa, so they're just shot like monotone and then they get color corrected.
Yeah.
And so it's just like someone should take these two movies and then edit a super movie together with the same color correction so that like they actually match. Because I don't know. Their jarring color difference kind of bothers me a little bit, but
Yeah, because it's
anyways,
like that was the thing about Fury Road that kind of bothered me. It's like I liked it, but then some parts they leaned into it, especially the day for night stuff. It was like they didn't know what to do, so they just did it all blue, like super blue. And this
Right.
one, but yeah, it's like
I
this
actually
one,
like that, but
it grew on me.
Right.
It definitely grew on me.
Yeah.
And in this one, they just go farther with it, and it's like I wouldn't say it's like worse, but it's definitely, like I said earlier, they just lean into the more digitized look of the whole thing more, because it's like with the CG and they adopted it, and then like lots of editing and like lots of like this time watching, especially because on the big screen it actually wasn't as noticeable. Like seeing it in the theater, it's pretty booming, like the sound effects, but it's just like watching it this time, I was way more paying attention to like, yeah, the effects and like how often they composited stuff, which is cool. They were smart about it, but it's like, like when the one big chase scene when the Octoboss shows up and everything.
dude, that's sick. His flying, his whatever airboat or whatever it is.
Like I just love that it's
air.
basically naval combat, because it's like you get to see more of like the fucking war rig, like all the fucking hierarchy of everyone. He's like Black Thumb, like there's the guy, you got the piss boy, like everyone's got their role, and it does feel like a ship. He's like, contact left, and it's like the other guys are pirates. Like it's
and the mechanics, yeah,
it's awesome.
Like how even just having the mechanics that work on the cars, like it's just so cool. It's so stripped down to like this is society, and so there are people who do it, and they love working on it. Like what tickled me pink is the opening sequence when they're swapping motorcycles. Like I couldn't even keep up with like all the motorcycles that kept breaking down, and they would steal the gas tank, and they would like split the line and stuff. And she's like chewing the line, to run out of gas. And it's like, and they're like, I thought you crippled the because they're like, that's like the War Thunder or whatever. They have their names.
Like the
they have
Thunder
sick,
Bike or whatever the fuck.
and the Thunder Bike. Yeah, they've got like sick names for their bikes.
Because it
and
sounds
stuff,
like thunder in the distance. It's cool.
yeah. And he's like, I did cripple it. It's like, but like how they've built them to be like modular, like cars can swap back and forth and stuff. And that's what the video game does, like amazing. That's what's cool too. It's like in the video game how you soup up your ride. And
I
stuff.
know, that's like the whole thing, because the driving and the car combat is so good in the video game.
It's so good in all of it. That's literally why you watch these movies, is because the cars look awesome, and he doesn't do where like John Woo does like gung fu, and like he does like car fu. Like he is like all of his action sequences. Like even the fighting is kind of dorky, but like when they're fighting, when people are like coming down on like little things and like with grenades and stuff, and like just fighting on the cars, it's so cool. It's like the cars fight each other.
It's so high octane, and then it's like they take the cars and they just make them like. They make them look so cool to the point where it's like they're not even practical, but like who cares?
But they're so
awesome.
Cool. yeah, and it's funny. It's like
Chris
it helps that we
like in his giant monster truck with like 8 wheels or whatever.
Dude, I know. And it's so silly, and like when he crushes the like fence down in the bullet farm, like it's so silly, but like I love it. I love how the cars they defy physics too, like what they climb up and like how they
and that's what's cool. I like that they focused on like what mattered, because like a lot of guys falling off the rigs, the CG, like their human bodies looked weird, movement wise, but it's like they stuck with the cars. You know what I mean? Like, they ran over the fucking shit. They blew up some cars. They flipped some shit. And that shows. And it's like, so they focused on what was important. You know what I mean? Because it's like, at the end of the day, you got to have that car shit. Because I'm surprised we didn't do these movies for, like, Car Month when we did that earlier.
I know, right?
Like,
well, I guess that's true, huh?
I
Yeah,
want
we should have done the original
more
Max,
car
yeah.
combat. Like, I should finish watching the little tangent, but the Twisted Metal show. I watched like did you watch any of that?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it actually like was pretty decent.
I watched the first 2 episodes and it was okay. Like, I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
I would finish it though, but it's like, especially now that I'm like, I got them, because it does. This movie offers something that you can't get anywhere else, and that's why they're so
really though
cool.
Yeah.
And I'm really sad that this movie. I mean, I'm sure you'll let us know the box office, but I remember it bombing, and I was like, no, please go see this movie, just because it's like it's good, it's worth seeing. A, B, I want more Mad Max movies. I want more Mad Max stuff. Like, can you imagine
I'm more just
a
like,
mini-series set during the 40-day war?
Doesn't George Miller?
So cool.
I thought I was reading something. I think George Miller's son worked on something. He worked on.
They better carry the torch to George Miller.
Right. If it was it the comic or was it? Or did he work on VFX? I can't remember. Anyways, I'll look that up too. But it's like, that's the sad. I mean, he is George Miller's.
Well, he revitalized it because
dude.
obviously the original trilogy and then these 2 movies are completely different beasts in tone and style.
Well,
like,
right. He wrote
these 2 movies are so specific in what they do and what they look like that you can't get. Like, they're very unique in that way.
Right, and he's been I mean, he's had. Obviously, Mad Max was like his first film, I think, right? Actually, now that I say that, I'm pretty sure it is, though. At least his first feature, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like he did that. That was such like an indie project full of heart, and then like it's been in his life forever. It's been, what is that? Like 40 years, 50 years since the movies were made. So
he's over there making Babe, and he's like just sketching cars or something.
Yeah, he's got like well, that is like dead serious. He talks about it all the time on all the film sets. That was something I was reading too. Is like he's always like keeping this idea alive in his head. And I would love to see, like, I'm sure he's got like countless vehicles and little tiny, lore and mythos and stuff that like his son could totally work on.
But that's what makes him also such an effective director, because it's like these movies, even especially Fury Road, but even this one too. It's like even though this one leaned more into like a narrative, but it's like his movies are so cinematic. Like we talked before when we talked about Fury Road, that it's like that could be borderline. That should be a silent movie. Like I would have loved if there was like barely any dialogue in it, because you didn't need it. This one is different, but it's like I could tell that he has such a vision, because it's like the way this movie comes out is so specific. So I'm interested to see, because it's like his original trilogy obviously had a huge influence on post-apocalyptic films ever since the 80s, and I guess that's why they don't seem as original anymore. Like, they seemed original for the time, and then obviously, like, in retrospect, like, obviously we weren't around for that. But now it's like I'm hoping that these, like, I want like more hyper stylized post-apocalyptic, like something like, again, you just can't get it anywhere else. Like, that's why I downloaded the video game, is because I'm like, I want that car, post-apocalyptic, gnarly, rusty, fucking car mayhem fixed, man. It's like I'm gonna have to go watch Fury Road again just to get my rocks off about it, because it's like I need it now. I don't know. Every time
we need to go down. We need to go down the we need to watch the trilogy, watch the original.
Yeah, I want to watch. I keep wanting to watch them.
And God, there was like there is a Fury. I think it's like Road Fury or something, where somebody made like a fan film that lives in like the Mad Max world.
Have we ever done like a post-apocalyptic month? We should do that.
Oh, we have 100%. We've done it post.
No, we haven't. What?
We did. Yeah, we did.
No, I don't think so.
Sure.
Well, I'll have to go back and look, because I'm like, I don't think so. We'll have to look.
Yeah, we'll have to look. I'm pretty sure we did Dystopian is what we called it, because we were like,
that's different though. Dystopian is.
Oh my God, they're like the same.
No, they're not. You fool. Listen, dystopian by its very nature means there is a society still. Post-apocalyptic, it's anarchy, man.
That means after an apocalypse. But
Dystopian
I
is
think,
what we're living in now.
do you know what got? Yeah, true that. But I was gonna say Fallout. The show Fallout got me.
Oh yeah.
But that's such a clean sci-fi feel, you know. So it's not
that's why I like this movie too. These movies, they're so dirty.
Well, dude, there really isn't anything that's. I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, there's nothing really that I can think of off the top of my head that lives in this kind of like. It's like junk rat kind of like mismatched stuff. It's not cyberpunk.
It's post-apocalyptic diesel punk. Is what it is.
It's like diesel punk, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you would call it?
That's the thing. Yeah,
like,
diesel punk. It's like post-apocalyptic diesel punk, and it's just.
Oh, it's. Yeah,
like,
it's beautiful.
And I don't. These aren't like among my favorite movies, but they just do that thing so well.
Oh,
like just that certain thing that
it's
not enough.
Well, it's what we say. It's what we say around here. We've been saying for years. It's sincerity. It's like that he does this with such a passion, and he's not. This isn't a paycheck for him. Like, it's like George Miller makes these because he's got a vision and he wants to get it out.
I know it does. It does feel like people watch Fury Road and they're like, "That was really cool, but I want to know more about the world and I want to know more." And he's like, "Oh, I got more. You want to know more?"
Yeah.
But it just lives in my head. I got more, and that's what I was glad to see because it's just cool seeing how all the fucking cities work and even small little bits. It's so smart. Like I brought up multiple times, like the maggot farmer, and
yeah.
But it's like so brief, but it's just like seeing that part of that society. Like you see bits and pieces of all the functions of this society.
Well, I'm even thinking it's great to see them when they do. I mean, they barely ever have like I don't mean diplomatic exchange. Like they're always like they're like we're gonna we need this much for this much, and their trade. You don't know their trade. You just know that they're the war rig, and they have to do supply runs for each other, and so it's like that's pretty much all you know. And it typically comes from the Citadel. That's why it's called the Citadel. It's just this like main hub, which I love. I love the design of that, and I'm curious how it works. That's something I'm like where does the water come from? How does he have those
and that's another thing. It's like
how does he grow all the food there?
You think that whatever it was before. It's like you think that got that way in 30 years? Like, no way, dude. That's hundreds of years.
I know. Oh, no. But what I think, I think it
but
is.
I like the inconsistency. I like that there's no. It's like, there's no solid form to this thing, and
it's his hometown of Australia. So it's just like, and Australia it does feel like that kind of like wasteland that they're living out of nothing. Like it seems even more inhospitable than any other region I can think of. Really, that's like. I guess like in like the Siberian desert, that's like a frozen wasteland, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
But like Australia just like feels like such a.
Oh yeah, in the outback. I mean, they got signs. Obviously, obviously neither of us have been there, but like they're just like, don't. If you go past here, make sure you're good because there's
nothing
barren. It's a fucking just a barren wasteland.
Oh, can I say something though? Something that really, 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 really bothered me, And, maybe it's because Fury Road does take place 30 years later and the sandstorms are stronger or something. But there were far too many times in this movie where Chris Hemsworth, without a shirt on, drove through a sandstorm on a motorcycle. And it bothered me so bad. It bothered me so bad.
The sandstorms were pretty weak in this overall. Like, there was no epic sandstorm. And that
bothered me because in Fury Road, they laid the groundwork where it's like if you go into a sandstorm, you're dead. And then in this movie, he like literally was like crying tears in a sandstorm on his motorcycle, and it like really bothered me.
Yeah, for sure. But his nipples ripped off.
His nipples. When his nipples. That is so. When they've got like that is such a comedic. That is such a
comedy's on
bit,
point too,
and kind of. And it's like, and it's kind of scary too, almost like it's just like he's chaotic, like you said. Like I love how he's like knocking the box and he's like, I don't know, and then like they rip it out his nipples.
It's like, why did he even do that in the first place? It's so just like what is your thought process, bro?
I know. Well, that's what's great too. Yeah,
that's his idea of a plan. You know what I mean? And that shows why he can't hold on to these. He like his ambition and all that like gets him into power. And he's
he really is like just he is a biker gang.
He can't.
It's just like
he can't hold it together.
As long as
there's no way. There's no
as long as he barely he barely provides for his gang. They'll somewhat support him. You know,
that's
what's cool too. Is like you get to see him when he's in Gastown. Everyone's pissed at him because he's like he kind of disrupted everything.
If he wouldn't have been such a shithead and like so careless to like his second in command, like the Octoboss, then it's like that guy could have helped run things. But it's like he kills his men, and then so that's why he like goes rogue and all that, which is such a fun like kind of thing too. Just shows so much about him as a character.
But I do, but like another thing too is like this is not a gripe, but it's just more like a slight inconsistency that I noticed too. Is it like where'd this biker gang come from? If they've been around this area and the only three things in this area are the three main supports, it's like Gastown,
because they were living out in the middle of the desert.
But what were they? How are they living out in the middle of the desert? I don't know. You know, it's just one of those, like, it's fine. It does nothing for, like, because it's like, that is part of the whole thing is like, and they represented like,
well, because they obviously
a nomadic tribe
never heard of the Citadel. And that's why when they like saw that first war boy, it's pretty good. He's like, is this Valhalla? And he's just got like the arrow sticking out of him.
It's the arrow right in his skull.
Yeah, that's great.
And he's got the chrome on his mouth. So, he just like, that's how he survived. But, I also like the fact that like the green place was only like 50 miles away is also funny, but it also just shows to how small like the area is of like people who are surviving.
They literally have a telescope and they can see the other cities with the telescope. So it's like it's definitely close enough.
Yeah,
I don't know how far you can see, but it's just miles.
It's just funny how they're like, tell us where it is, like point to it. You know, that was like such an important thing. Where I'm like, you could just drive in the circle for 2 days.
Just point them into the middle of the desert, like just it's like they'll go so far. But this is the kind of movie though that you're not supposed to think about too much because there is so many inconsistencies and so many things, and it's like.
And that's where this movie isn't meant to be like you're not supposed to like it's not a solid narrative where you're supposed to be like, oh, it's not like a Game of Thrones style where like characters are talking about each other and you've got like it's all like this
all
woven
the pieces
plot.
Fit. It's like
this is just cool characters and he just
George Miller like cut the pieces to fit from another puzzle and smushed them together with glue and bubble gum. You know what I mean? Like. It's great,
and with motor grease and a little bit of guzzling, dude. That's all I call it nowadays. Guzzling. I gotta go get myself some guzzling.
True.
I love his words. I bet there's like a. I want to see if there's a George Miller.
I love that he keeps trying to like say big words, but like he keeps saying them wrong. But it's like he keeps trying to sound smarter than he is. It's like to show that he belongs in power. And like the two, he's like, she's beautiful. You look at your abominations for a son or whatever. I don't know. Because even at the end there, like he was saying some shit that was just like, I don't know. Chris Hemsworth, man. Like this movie did make me really respect him in a way I didn't expect to.
Oh, what is it? Of Chris Hemsworth? Yeah, for sure. And
the choice to go with his nose.
Well, now I don't go with the nose, and I loved how he was like, I'm the red Dementor now, or whatever, Dementus.
Well, I like that too. That it's just like he started off in the white cloak, and then he got all red, and that's like his phase. And I wonder like what the purpose of that is all together, because I feel like there's like it does show his growth like into a darker place, because he does bring up like. He had a soft spot for her because of his own family. Like, he did have a daughter once or whatever, and now he's all cold and jaded because of that. But, like, it's like starts off white, then it goes red, and then at the end, it's black. You know what I mean? And with, like, red and white at the bottom. But then Furiosa takes it, and she just is wearing it. You know what I mean? Which is cool. And then I gotta get buff. Or at least getting less fat so that I could be Dementus for Halloween one year. Because just like the shirtless with like the Colonel vest and the fucking leather pants with like the teddy bear chained to the crotch. And like the graying beard is just too cool, man. Like it's too cool.
It's really cool. His beard goes through some wild stuff and it's amazing. And I'm like, I wonder if that's real. I wonder if his beard is real because he grows that beard a lot in all his movies. So
it looks. I mean, I bet you it's at least mostly real. It might have extensions or something, but.
Sure.
It's like
I'm
you can
sure
tell
made up,
wigs look great, but it's like I feel like you can always tell as a bearded man's ourselves. It's like unless you keep it really, really kempt and like trimmed up.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's like no, it looks like it's growing up his face and stuff, and that's how you know it's real.
Yeah,
Especially in the apocalypse, you're
he's
not like let me chisel my jawline, you know.
Yeah, I know. And what's up with the dude with like the big fat guy that like has the fake nose? Like, what's that guy's deal?
I want to watch it.
I don't remember him. I don't remember him in the first one.
Oh, you don't remember
like,
him?
I remember him in the first one. I don't remember him being like a part of anything. Did he do anything else, or he just hung out with?
From what I understand, it's like he was like a second in command of Immortan Joe, but then once Dementus is defeated, he puts him in charge of Gastown. And so in Fury Road, he's running Gastown.
He's running Gastown.
And in this one, he must have been just some weirdo second in command nipple ring play guy.
Yeah.
And then the bullet farmer wasn't in this one, I don't think, but like I think it's a similar thing.
was.
Was he the older guy? The bullet farmer?
Because remember they meet him and he's got the same garb. Remember when they all try to get together? All three of them are like, we need to get together, and then Dementus just like fucks it up because he's chaotic.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's like he does show up, but he is younger. Yeah, it's sort of, and I think he gets his eyes blown out in Fury Road. That's
he does.
Right. I couldn't remember. Yeah,
because that's the thing. It's like this world is just so fun to live in. It's such a vibe watching it that it's just like you really, really get immersed in like the atmosphere and the style so much that you got a money minute because it's like I know this movie didn't perform as well as it needed to, but I'm like I want more, man.
I'll tell you.
At least one more. Round it out with a good trilogy or something.
Or how about this? How about this? Yeah, exactly. It'd be great. But so this is Fury Road, the 2015 film. That budget was $150 million, and it grossed $380.
Nice.
So like it did really good for itself, and it greenlit this. He was actually I read this too before we started recording. He was greenlit to do a sequel, and he already had, as he was shooting Fury Road, he wrote Furiosa. He already
that makes sense because he's like
he already had the idea of it.
This is like
right.
Fury Road's
he's
almost like a soft
out.
Reboot. So because like obviously Max is immortal apparently.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I think he's supposed to be because even in Fury Road, they show him. Yeah. They show him, and like he's so traumatized, and he's remembered by the people that he's killed or the people that have died around him that he's tried to save. Yeah. That he just kind of like he does live as a ghost, and he's a ghost at the end of Fury Road. So, anyways, so it's like
Spirit of the West.
Right, really though. But anyways, so he got greenlit. George Miller could do this film, but it took him 9 years to get it done. Yeah. I don't really know why. They didn't really go into detail.
9 years? Anyways, dude, it's been
9 years. That's crazy, right? And so
I can't believe just now it's 2025. It has been 10 years since Fury Road came out.
Yeah, dude.
Disgusting.
So it's wild, right? It's like crazy to think. And anyways, this film, the Furiosa, it was $168 million to shoot, and it only grossed $173. So it didn't.
It made its budget back,
well.
Thank God, because I remember.
I know, but that's
when it came out.
Dude,
like me and Gat went and saw it, and there was hardly anyone in the theater, and we saw it opening weekend.
U.S. it only grossed $67 million.
Yeah, it was not like no one was going to see it, but it's just like I don't know what it was. This was a weird. This was kind of a weird year for movies, but
I didn't see it in theaters. I forgot, but we're doing movies from 2024, and I forgot that it came out this year.
Yeah, well, a lot of the bangers.
I was like,
a lot of the bangers came out earlier in the year. You know what I mean? Like, still one of the best movies of the year is like Dune 2, Part 2, and it's like that came out like fucking February. It's like that feels like forever ago. And yeah, same with this because it's like I'm glad it won the poll because it's like obviously I'm going to get into more of the artsy acclaimed one, but there was like a lot of big action movies, so that's why I put like Wolverine and Deadpool on the poll.
Yeah, right.
And this one, and I'm glad this one won because I do think this is legitimately one of the better movies of the year for sure. And it's like this is what I was saying to you off air or whatever is it was a weird year for movies, but it was a great year for genre movies because this is such a but that's the thing. It's like you have to be into that thing to like it. Like it's such a niche. Like to be into this diesel punk post-apocalypse, and it's like it was a great year for horror movies. But if you don't like horror movies, then you might not give a fuck. You'd be like, "Where are all the good movies?" You know what I mean? But like we got. It was a good
year for Bob Dylan biopic. That's that's what a good year this was.
Yeah. We'll see. So hopefully, because
No,
I mean, like,
I do-
Nosferatu's crushing it, so that's good.
I hope George Miller stays alive for just a little bit longer.
I know.
And maybe we can get one more movie.
Give me one more movie, or like, something like.
Okay, he's only 80, so he could give us.
It's
another
only
piece.
80.
He's only 80. We got a few more movies. He looks amazing, dude.
Hey,
I don't know what.
If you can
know how.
run the country poorly at 80, then you can make a Mad Max movie with your fucking
That's
senile
true.
brain.
I don't know though.
If anything, the senility probably helps the
Yeah,
vibe
maybe,
of
right?
Mad Max. Like, he needs it.
I mean, well, Trump's got fucking nanobots that are injected into his urethra or something.
yeah?
It's like there's no way that guy can even stand. I don't know.
There's just clones of them, all of them. They're just all clones.
Yeah. Did you see 3,000 Years of Longing?
No, I wanted to though, because it's like
I really liked it, but it's like it's not very good. That's George Miller, dude. I love everything he's ever made, and but it's not like nothing. Nothing is my favorite. By him.
He's very much like Guillermo del Toro, right? Like we
Yeah.
talked about, where it's like he's got such a good vision and such a good style, but his shit is always messy. And it's like, if he had like a good second in command to help kind of narrow him in, then maybe he'd put better films out. But the roughness around the edges is part of the charm also. So, but it's like, I could be talking about George Miller or Guillermo del Toro, I think, because it's like I don't love any of their movies. Like I like, that's the thing. It's like they're all
good.
They all
That's
have
what
serious flaws, but they're all good.
They're all really good, but they're never my favorite.
Yeah.
And that's where and they're never like interchangeably my favorite. It's always just like I'm happy that they've made a film and I will watch it. But yeah, I've never been like, oh. I mean, I don't know though. They're like Gilmore. I'm sad that like freaking Pinocchio was his stop motion, because dude, that's one of the most beautiful stop motion films I've ever seen in my life, and it's just like the Pinocchio story, really, and a musical. Come on, bud.
It was fine.
But
I mean, like, it was
what
really
he does
good.
with it.
It was
What he
really
does with
good,
it's
but it's
amazing.
because stop motion.
I know.
Well,
right.
I mean, we'll see, because he's doing his next movie is Frankenstein. And
Could you
that seems
picture
on point.
George Miller making a Mad Max stop mo, dude?
Don't even.
Oh my god, baby.
Don't even.
Oh my god, dude! Do you know what you could do with that?
Well, that's
do you
the thing.
know
He could
what
do-
cars you could build with that?
You could build the coolest
The
things.
coolest, the cool. Like you could, because this movie. I guess that's one thing about Mad Max that like really does get me.
They
like,
should just
my
use more
nipples ripped off.
miniatures. You know what I mean? They should do more
Is-
miniatures.
That's the thing, the miniatures, because it's like, but like this movie though, it is cool because they're all operational vehicles. Like they're really driving their vehicles.
Yeah,
they're not
that's what
pulling
you're
them on a crane or whatever, like a trailer.
Yeah.
They're actually driving these vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's
well, I
pretty
mean,
cool.
sometimes it's definitely on a green screen, but
Oh.
but
No,
they're
right,
drivable.
right. I'm not saying these.
pretty
I'm not
sure
saying
they're all
like
drivable though.
No, they're all. That's what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
are, in a practical standpoint, drivable. Not. I mean, like, not feasible. You couldn't
Right,
road
obviously.
road ready clearly. But
Oh, I thought
they're
about
all
you when
operational.
because it's only for a minute, but when they go to the bullet farm, when it's the two VW
Oh,
buses,
the VW buses.
It's like-
No, dude. Hell yeah. And that. No, I was gonna.
It's just so
comment
goofy,
on this,
but it's so fun. I don't know.
it's so goofy, but it's dude. And that's what I love, dude. I love the I love all the freaking diesel punk, man. That's such a good.
I like it. I got to Reddit, and then let's button it up.
We do?
So, Reddit, Clones of People 2 says, first watch, I'm a fan of this franchise, and I love the original three, and I think Fury Road is one of the best action films ever made. Totally. This is a pretty similar to the Fury Road, but goes just a little less hard on the action and replaces that with story. The story for this is exactly as it should be. Simple. This does not need to overcomplicate itself because the strength of the franchise lies in the world and the characters. He says it in his thing. I love the diesel punk style and sense of
hell yeah.
batshit crazy anarchy going on. I didn't even read this comment until just now. The movie embraces the absurdity and it works so well just to go nuts with the action. Chris Hemsworth is a standout. Dementis is a great character balancing the ruthlessness and comic relief of the criminally insane. The action set pieces are magnificent. The one with Furiosa under the truck on the way to Gastown is the best. Rules.
Yeah.
The octopus,
Dude.
the motorcycle guys,
That-
they're so cool.
That is
overall,
that's such a good sequence. Yeah.
it's so good. The action sequences, that's the thing. I don't know. It hits.
Yeah.
It just needs that score. Overall, This scores a 9 out of 10 for me as a pure action film. My only critique is that it's about 20 minutes too long. I can see that. You could probably trim
And
off
that
a
and
little
that's
fat.
kind of no. We did that. We spoke of that in Fury Road. Go listen to that episode. We kind of talked about how the back end kind of lacks.
Yeah.
And that's and that's just
Well,
like
it's-
and where this movie actually the back end is like amazing. So I don't know. It's
Back
kind of
end's
like
good,
the
but it's
front
like
end
the
of this
final.
one kind of
They
bothered
could
me.
have probably could have smushed it together, like the final chase where she's chasing all the other guys, and then finally gets to Dementus. Like they probably could have got Dementus a different way and like streamlined it a bit, and it would have been just the same. But like, you needed the drawn out like her taunting him. It's so good in the desert. And he's like, when he goes for the knife, and it's just like there's no blade, and he's like,
There's the hilt.
he's
Yeah,
like,
it's just
that's
the
not
hilt.
hope, that's instinct. You know? Like,
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, that's so good. That's like that. I like. It's like even this movie, has a lot more character development, but it's still like not super dialogue heavy, except from Dementus, and his writing is great, and so because that's kind of like Shirley Theron's character and what Furiosa,
Yeah,
her character.
she's not a
is
big
just
talker.
quiet,
Not a
also,
big talker, yeah.
too. She's been broken by society.
literally, we
and
don't
so-
even see Anna Taylor-Joy until like 45 minutes into the movie, and it's like the girl, like her whole thing is that she doesn't speak, and she's mistaken for a boy forever because she doesn't want to get
Right,
raped
which is-
by that creep.
right.
Anyway, so Furiosa, a very good addition to the genre, a flawed gem, but fucking pretty dope. Just look past the, some of the CG restraints, but is a good time.
Right, and those aren't even. It's like it really.
That's a hang up. That's a hang up for a lot of
Yeah.
people, and I don't think it would
And that's
matter
just the
as
future,
much
dude.
if it wasn't the first one. But yeah, it's like,
I mean, you mentioned Marvel, and that's a big reason why Marvel bothers me.
Yeah.
It's like I can't get really engrossed.
Well,
is 'cause
that's the thing, too.
They
It's
look like
like-
they're literally shot 100% on green screen.
100%. It pretty much is.
Yeah. Right.
And then like the whole sequence is like they don't have anyone there. It's just the whole all CG.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
so the next movie we're watching, it did win, is Challengers, which I'm looking forward to. I mean, I heard it's good.
And super Yo Mama Tambi and tennis. It's
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
That's the vibe I get from it.
We watched recently another Luca Guadagnino movie. I know I'm saying it wrong, but Bones and All. And so it's like
Right,
I like that he kind of flip flops because it's like
Oh yeah, I know.
he
he'll
did
write-
Bones and All, and then he did Challengers, and then you know what his next movie is? Oh, we talked about this. His next movie is American Psycho.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
So it's just like,
I'm curious
like
to
that.
see because I don't know. Nosferatu is a remake, and I was nervous about it, and I love
it.
what he did with it, and so I'm excited to see what he does with American Psycho. It's interesting. I don't know.
All right, well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thank you
thanks for
guys.
listening.
Follow us on
Happy New
Reddit,
Year.
please.
Yeah, go to the
Come
Reddit.
to YouTube. That's a great place to be. And then Patreon supports us. We literally use Patreon to pay for the Podbean
The website
subscription that we have.
hosting and the fucking
All that stuff. So we appreciate it, and
the
we can't do
movies,
it without
the
you guys.
movies we watch, all the good stuff. So.
That's true. Yeah. My gosh.
Yep.
Everything. You guys support you support my habit, dude.
Yeah.
My habit of film, baby.
Yeah, my film,
I gotta get my
inject that
I gotta get,
celluloid right into the
Yes.
vein, baby. Intravenous celluloid. All right.
Get my schmack.
Bye now.
Bye. Diesel. Diesel bomb.